Team USA gets rolling later today. Team Canada as well. It is time for the international tournament, the Olympic tournament, underway. Had games yesterday. Sweden holds off Italy, and just a little bit ago, the Swiss wrapped up a victory over France. Jeremy and Joe, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is tournament time. Joining us on the Western Hotline to talk a little bit about the U.S. program and the tournament itself, former Sabres coach. And could I go with pillar of the national program, Don Granato? Don, could I call you a pillar of the national program? You were there for quite a long time.
I was there for a long time. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that, but
okay.
It's your show, so you can call it whatever you'd like.
All right, we're doing it. Pillar of the national team program, as so many of these players have come through. You know, you coached, and whether you coached them through the program, 13 while at the program, 16 of the players, and so many players, of course, like on other rosters. I know how much you love watching hockey, how much you love watching this, the best on best.
Well, I'm getting excited. I mean, yesterday's games, you see – there's such a disparity in talent. It's way different than the NHL. Obviously, a short tournament, that's going to make it way different. But the disparity in skill and talent, as you saw in the Sweden-Italy game where there were 60 shots. You know, when Sweden plays Canada-U.S., those shots will be, those shots could be in the teens by, and that might be it by the end of the game. So it's very different. I'm looking forward, like everyone else, to see when the big guys play the big guys. In the interim, you're kind of watching these games, and there's going to be an upset or two, like there was yesterday with Slovak and the Finns, and those are fun to watch in a different manner.
When you're watching, either an upset happening or an upset coming close, like this would be the Italy and Sweden game yesterday, are you falling for the underdog and rooting for them, or do you kind of want the team that is clearly better out there to end up getting the result?
That's a great question, Joe. I don't have an answer for you. I'm going to try to watch. I watch so much hockey, and I still every day I'm watching the NHL, and it becomes such a business. You're thinking about, okay, sitting in that head coach chair all the time, and what would you do in practice the next day? What meeting would you hold? Who would you hold? I'm trying to just decompress and watch these games for the enjoyment. So I don't have an answer for you. It is fun to take a break from the NHL and just watch this stuff happening. But you do feel, having sat in the chair of a head coach, the time that goes in and the work that goes on behind the scenes. You hate to see anybody lose, but then on the other side, you do feel. So I guess you ride both sides a little bit on it, Joe.
Don Granato joining us on the Western Hotline. Don, these tournaments, you were the head coach of the national program there. These tournaments, these 2-week events, what is how dialed in do these guys get for this kind of thing, right? They're taking a break from their job. They're going to a foreign country, and then they're just locking in when you put the flag on. Like, how intense does preparation, meetings, all that stuff, like as compared to like an NHL day-to-day?
Yeah, it's euphoric in a sense. If you think about the dynamics, these guys have been playing pretty much every other day or every third day in the NHL. They just had 5 days off. That is massive. That actually feels like 3 weeks to 4 weeks when you have that many days off, because you can recoup all of your energy, because you're playing in the NHL. You're playing. Not only are you playing hurt, you're playing with. You just got off a plane. You have no sleep rhythm. So again, these guys are playing, 4, 5, 6 days off, 7 days off now before their first game. They have more time in between games. They're not traveling in between games, and they're in that euphoric, Olympic village with all these other athletes. So this is, and they've thought about it for, making this team and playing on this team. So they're going to be on a high and ride a high through the entire event because it's short and all those dynamics. And the coaching side, you're looking for chemistry, and you're looking for it right away. So you're watching game to game and measuring. You don't know the context, so you're measuring the other teams and pre-scouting quite a bit through the tournament. It's just a lot of fun, and you have a lot of players that are fully engaged and fully rested.
On those coaching decisions, right? Like, you don't have a lot of time to figure out like what lines might look good together. I mean, the goalies too, right? Like, especially like this is maybe something they're dealing with on the U.S. team right now when you have 3 options of guys that are all some of the best goalies in the NHL. Like, how do you really play it? Because you might not have time to even play everybody one game. You probably just roll one or two of them out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have time. And you know, because if you think about coaches, you especially the goaltending position, you're hoping to get only one guy can be in the net. You're trying to find out, okay, who when they get in their rhythm is going to be the best for us. But now they don't have enough games to get the guys in a rhythm to actually evaluate, okay, which one of these two or three is in the rhythm. So yes, that is a challenge. So, you know, the guy that gets the net first, that's the importance. If he can get the net first and show that he's in the zone, it's going to make it tougher for the coach to change and put the next guy in there. So yeah, lots of different dynamics. It makes it all fun to watch.
Former Sabres head coach and former coach of the national program as well, Don Granato, joining us on the Western Hotline. We're seeing Tage on the wing. You know, you had Tage at the wing. You put him back at center at one point. We actually saw some bouncing around for him this year on that. How do you feel watching him out there? Like he scored the golden goal in the 3-on-3 overtime, which is another topic that they're going 3-on-3 for gold medal. Like, holy cow! But how is it watching Tage out there, knowing the player he's become?
Love it. I mean, I've obviously spent a long time with him. You know, first met him when he was 15, 16 years old and got to coach him then. So to see the progress and see the success, see him just establish himself. And now as an Olympian, I mean, he deserved it. He should have been named initially on that Four Nations tournament a year ago. He wasn't. But true to Tage, he stayed with it. He stayed very focused in the right manners. And I think he'll be ready for this. You know, shifting to the wing, you know, when you have players, especially when I had players at the U.S. program, you know, you got the foresight. They may not, and it's you want them to learn different positions. And I talked to, even when I was coaching there, the value of using training camp and shifting guys around and shifting line, because you're going to, like, Tage might not have made the team if he couldn't play wing, or he might not have made the team if he couldn't have played center. So you want to be able to expand your ability, you know, through playing different positions and being comfortable and competent at those. And Tage has done that. So I think shifting to the wing, I believe they've had him with Dylan Larkin. He's very familiar with Larks. They were at the program together. That helps, and I think that he'll be a key guy for them.
Are you feeling any sort of like this time in Team USA's whatever the history of Team USA? Like if they were to able to come home with gold, would it kind of represent to you a long-term growth, acceleration, whatever. If you want to see evening on the world stage with Canada, the U.S. is not quite a co-favorite, but no one would be shocked if they did win it. And there have been Olympic Games in the past where it would be a shock, and they've been in the gold medal game. But to get to the top, how much would it mean to you and to everybody that's been part of Team USA over the years?
Well, it's just nice to be on the top. I mean, I think that's just from the competitive side, that's what you want. As far as what you mentioned there, Jeremy, I think everybody knows around the world in hockey that the U.S. is in line to take it over. Just the growth of the game in the United States, the fact that the NHL is working and has worked now for years to grow the game in markets like Arizona or Austin Matthews has come from, and other NHL players in California markets. We enjoy the luxury that other countries don't, and that's the speed of growth in our country. So when you look at the trajectory, yes, we are going to take it over. And I don't think anybody is questioning that. They're trying to make sure that is prolonged, I guess. So winning this would help nudge toward that. But this group of players, I can tell you, having coached lots of them, has a different level of confidence when they put a USA jersey on than those players 20 and 30 years ago. The thing that made the 96 team, the 96 U.S. team, I think it was the World Cup team, significant was really the first time a group of players put a U.S. jersey on and said, we're better than Canada. And that was, I think Pat LaFontaine was on that team. Phil Housley might have been on that team. Chris Chelios, big names. And that was really the first time in USA hockey history where the group of 20 that put the jersey on said, we're better. Even if they have Gretzky and Mario Lemieux on the other side, we're better. And there's been long windows in between where that's not happened. That is now happening in the U.S. And it's happened through, it starts at World Juniors, and the players coming and learning right away, their first time putting a U.S. jersey on, they expect to beat the team across from them. So it makes it a lot different. And again, it'll be fun to watch.
Do you put any of that on what has been focused on with these players as they've come up, or could it just be resources too, the game growing? Because the other thing that I view that looks different to me from this team versus maybe some teams of the past is just the speed and the skill that the guys have, especially down the middle, Don. Like the center group, Eichel, Matthews, Larkin, Thompson, I mean, there's not enough really from all the play center, is closer to Canada just from a speed skill level than it feels like it ever has been.
It is. There's no question. And obviously we know the speed of the NHL and hockey players in general, athletes in general, because training for all athletes has gotten better over the last 20 years, and equipment's gotten better. So ice conditions have gotten better. So, yes, there's no doubt it's faster. I think, if we talk historically, Canada always they would love to knock the U.S. Well, U.S. has good athletes, but they don't have hockey sense. They're not growing players that read and react to the game of hockey well enough. That has changed immensely. I mean, we have, obviously there's not a player on this roster that doesn't have hockey sense, and it's kind of this intangible term that we've used forever in the game. But that was the knock against Americans, and I haven't heard that. I mean, I heard that a lot 10, 15 years ago. I don't hear that ever anymore, and that is evidence behind the scenes as well of our growth.
Don Granato on the Western Hotline. Don, I'm looking at that 96 roster you're talking about, and I was thinking about how the game has changed. There might be no better way to think about how the game has changed than to look at a defense core from 96 versus a defense core now and what they do now, right? Like this U.S. defense core is thought to be the strength of the team, and the reason that if they're going to win, it's going to be because their blue line is so good.
Yeah, and that is for sure, and. I'm probably most proud of that because I've had lots of guys that are in that defensive group. And the game changed. If you think back of when obstruction, lockout of what was it, 2004, 2005, and the NHL came in with the rules of, obstruction. And we're going to call, and it was just penalty after penalty. And in that era before that, it was a defining moment in hockey. You could hold your stick parallel to the ice as a defenseman. So it would be 2 feet to your left or right if you were lefty or righty, and put it right on a guy's hips or in his gut, really, and ride him out. So you could actually play a player one-on-one very easily as a defenseman. So when the rush was coming at you and a player with speed was coming at you, you just put your stick in his gut and you rode him into the glass, and you could control him the whole way. That became a penalty. So when that happened, defensemen had to learn to defend completely different. And that's where you saw the ability over time now. The NHL took a long time for them. I was an assistant coach the year that happened in St. Louis in the Blues. And I watched our defensemen struggle because we had an old defensive core. And I thought to myself, we've got to figure a way to get skating defensemen, size doesn't matter anymore, into the game because you can't use your stick anymore. And that's changed, and you see Quinn Hughes and Zach Werenski, Noah Hannafin. These guys can skate, they're mobile, they're agile. And it's a different game, and it's taken that long since that was 20 years ago now for the NHL to actually change and realize that they need different players to play those positions, a more athletic player.
So if you're coaching Team USA, who do you match against McDavid, the McDavid line, Is that the one?
You hit it. You hope you have the matchup.
Yeah.
Because that's key. And there is no question, I'll answer that question very quick for you and easily. I would, because I've watched it happen, Dylan Larkin. I watched Dylan Larkin in a world championship bronze medal game in Denmark, Copenhagen, and Dylan Larkin, we ended up winning the bronze over Canada. We both lost the night before, so you play the next day. You're a little bit disappointed, but you're in the bronze medal game. And Dylan had Connor so frustrated because he could skate with him. And Dylan competes before the puck drops. He's competing for position in the faceoff, which aggravates players against him. So Yeah, easy call on that one. If they get to that point, watch Dylan Larkin on Connor McDavid.
All right, very good. Well, Don, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure, and enjoy the tournament. I mean, it's on in the middle of the day, so we like that. I'll just stay up until 10 p.m. and then try to get up the next morning.
Hey,
so
you guys as well. I enjoyed this time. I missed you guys a bit. I say that. You asked some tough questions. This was great today, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for all us, and all the best.
All right, likewise.
Thanks, Don.
See you guys.
Don Granato, who, of course, pillar of the U.S. team. He said I could say it. I'm saying it. Pillar.